Chapter 10, Agriculture, Biotechnology, and the Future of Food. I love this picture of an organic vegetable farm in Whatcom County, Washington. I love it because I eat a lot of organic foods, and I love the picture here showing a healthy farm that you could actually bring your children into and not have to worry about exposure to pesticides and fertilizers and those kinds of dangers. Notice also on this picture how there's a variety of crops here, intercropping. And organic farms do not practice monoculture. Organic farms plant a variety of different types of fruits and vegetables to prevent infestations of bugs, to promote soil health, and it's a more sustainable way to farm. On the page here, the case study is a very important case study about genetically modified corn that has blown its way from American farms down into Mexico. And Mexico corn, which they call maize, is very important to the Mexican culture. And different farms in different regions and different little valleys in Mexico all have a special type of maize. And it's rather sad that their very specific types of corn have been contaminated with American genetically modified corn. And so I have 3 stars here because this is a very important story. It's likely to be found in the AP test when we're talking about the problems with genetically modified food. And it is one of the issues that faces genetically modified food. Turning the page to 278. Here's some information that's not in your book but will be on the AP test and my test. We have the top agricultural products in the world. Number 1 is sugarcane, which we get sugar from. So the actual granulated sugar comes from sugarcane. Sugarcane is not grown very much in the U.S., more in the Caribbean and in Central and South America, and even in Africa. Number 2 in the world is corn. 3 is wheat. 4 is rice. 5 is potatoes. The top crops in the U.S., however, first we have corn, then soybeans, then wheat, then cotton. Soybeans is kind of interesting because we don't think that we eat a lot of soy, but we really do. Even if you are not somebody who eats tofu or soy milk, you eat soy and a lot of other products. A lot of your processed foods that come in boxes have soy in them as fillers and as protein sources and things like that. Corn is really in anything, in everything and anything. Corn is turned into corn syrup for all of our sodas, and many of our foods have corn syrup in it to make it sweet. Even things like ketchup and pasta sauce and salad dressings. A lot of our corn is turned into food for animals, so when you eat meat, most of that protein on that meat was originally corn. And so you're going to watch King Corn, the video, which talks a lot about the influence of corn in the U.S. We also have regional crops, and these are the crops that are found in different parts of the world. Europe grows mostly winter wheat, rye, and barley. These are cold weather crops because Europe, and especially Northern Europe, it's cold. Even in the summer, they have a short growing season, and so these are crops that can tolerate the cold. Asia gets a lot of rain, and so a lot of their ground can be flooded, and rice can grow, it has to grow in flooded fields. And so that's the reason why Asian countries grow a lot of rice. It's their climate. In North America, our top agricultural products are corn and wheat. In Africa, it's corn and sugarcane. In Central and South America, it's corn and wheat also. There's some terms here on page 279 to know. We faced undernourishment, overnutrition, and malnutrition. Food security. Food security is not how safe our food is. It's, do people have food to eat? if you have a constant food supply, like most of us, we have food in our houses on a daily, hourly basis. We have high food security in the U.S., but other countries do not. And many of our own families in the U.S. are poor and they do not have food security. Undernourishment is a problem in developing countries. Overnutrition is a problem in our country. We have a lot of obese people. We have too much food. Malnutrition is not eating the right kinds of foods, certain kinds of vitamin deficiencies, proteins deficiencies. Kwashiorkor is a type of malnutrition. It's here in the book. Kwashiorkor is caused by not enough protein. And then the other one here, marasmus, is a lack of calories and a lack of protein. So know these two terms, kwashiorkor, marasmus. Also add on here scurvy. It's not in your book, but it's on the AP test. Scurvy is a lack of vitamin C, and it causes swollen gums and loose teeth. People who don't have a lot of citrus or even other fresh fruits and vegetables that have vitamin C can develop scurvy. Page 280. We have some pictures here of a child that has developed a kwashiorkor. And we have a picture here of different varieties of wheat developed during the Green Revolution. So let's talk about the Green Revolution. Down here under the section, the Green Revolution has caused the environment both benefit and harm. So the Green Revolution began in the 1940s. It increased agricultural productivity. The fossil fuels were a big part of it. Synthetic fertilizer. If you remember from Chapter 7, we talked about the Haber-Bosch process, which was developing nitrates in the lab, and we used them, well, during World War II we used it for bomb making. After the war we used these nitrates for fertilizers. Synthetic pesticides that are made out of petroleum oil, and we also introduced sprinklers, irrigation. So the Green Revolution has brought some good things and some bad things. Let's read about those. Let's talk about those. Positives and negatives of the Green Revolution. Positives. Saved many countries from starvation, including India and China. Reduced the poverty level. Since we can grow more food on the same amount of land, we saved habitat for wildlife. That's a good thing. We didn't have to turn other land into farmland. Some negatives of the Green Revolution. And Green Revolution has nothing to do with being eco-friendly. We used that term in 2012 to refer, going green means being eco-friendly, recycling, composting, riding your bike. Those are all things to be green. The Green Revolution does not refer to anything being eco-friendly. In fact, things that happened were quite the opposite of being eco-friendly during the Green Revolution. Green just refers to more crops, plants being grown. Problems. Water pollution from fertilizers and pesticides. A loss of biodiversity of crops and livestock. We started growing a lot of monoculture. Less nutrition because of a lack of variety of different kinds of crops. And we still have this to this day. You may think you have good, wonderful produce, but it's actually not a large variety of produce than what we used to get. And with the variety of produce and different strains of different kinds of produce, we used to get a lot more different types of vitamins and minerals than we currently do now. We raised air pollution with farming from tractors, and then also nitrates being sprayed causes a lot of air pollution from farming. Here's a nice picture here of what a monoculture is, along with the caption. And again, monoculture is very, very, very common in farming in the U.S., but it causes a lot of problems. Make sure you read and understand those. Turning to 282, our modern Green Revolution consists of, now, pausing for a second, this is not in your book, but it is on the test. Modern Green Revolution is about in the last 20 years. We've developed genetically modified crops that are tastier, that have higher yields, so you can grow more per acre of the same crop. Drought-resistant plants have been developed through genetically modified techniques. Pest-resistant plants have been grown through genetically modified crops. We've also participated in food irradiation, which is we put radiation in our food to kill any pathogens that might be on it. Let's talk about pesticides, because from page 282 it talks about pests and pollinators. Let me turn some more light here. So, pesticides. Now, pesticides are anything that kills pests. Well, what's a pest? Well, we kill bugs with insecticides, we kill weeds with herbicides, we kill fungus with fungicides, and these are all different types of pesticides. All right, not in your book, but on the test. We have chlorinated hydrocarbons. These are the worst pesticides that are out there. They're made from petroleum oil, and they cause birth defects. And we learned before the word hydrocarbon means hydrogens and carbons stuck together. And so again, these are made out of petroleum oil, and they cause birth defects. Bad stuff. Synthetic pesticides are ones that, again, are man-made. The word synthetic means man-made. Strychnine is an example of a synthetic pesticide, and also DDT, which causes your top predatory birds like bald eagles and peregrine falcons to decline. On the next page, we have a picture about how pests become resistant to a pesticide. This picture is very important. This is an example of an evolutionary arms race that we talked about before in Chapter 5. We also can refer to this process as the pesticide treadmill. So let's talk about it. First of all, you have an outbreak of pests on a crop. And so a farmer applies pesticide. This is one of the reasons why in farmland the air quality is so bad. A lot of times people think, well, farms are so healthy. I want my children to grow up on a farm because it's so healthy there. It's not healthy anymore. It used to be, but it's not. Because of this and because of fertilizers getting into well water. So usually farmers have worse water and worse air. Okay, so all but a few pests die, and you have a couple of them that are in their genes, they're resistant to this pesticide. And so what happens is now these two hook up, they get together, they make babies, and they pass on that good DNA that resists pesticide, because all living things have genetic diversity. And so you're going to kill most of them, except for a couple that are really extra strong in their DNA. So now these extra strong DNA bugs, now they make all kinds of baby bugs, and they break out the next year in the same field. So apply the pesticide again. Well, it didn't kill the bugs because these ones are genetically resistant, all of them, because they came from these parents that were genetically resistant, just randomly mutation genetically resistant. And so now the farmers got to go back and try a different pesticide, a stronger pesticide, to kill the bugs. And so over time, our bugs have become stronger and stronger. So what do? Well, we do some alternatives to broad pesticide spraying. This also is a really good example of showing you well, first of all, how crops are sprayed with pesticides, but then also how the bugs, or one of the problems with monoculture. So what happens is that these bugs that are left will lay eggs in the ground. And so in the dirt are the eggs. And then the farmer grows corn again, and the eggs hatch, and lo and behold, there's corn right there. Wonderful, because this bug likes corn. But farmers who practice crop rotation, let's say the next year, they plant something different, like soy. So these eggs hatch, and there's no corn here. There's only soy. So they die, and they don't like it, or they move away. That's a good example of how crop rotation helps plants.